I think my time's running out, so I'm gonna quickly ask one more. Because I wanted to get to the lyrics because Brent writes the lyrics, but I don't know in what stage of the process you guys were in when the lyrics kind of started flooding in. But what was your reaction? Because, like you say, and in particular, Get Up was very personal. So what was your reaction in a way to what he wrote those words?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting the way that the way the lyrics come about in Shinedown is the idea, the seed of the idea usually has to come from Brent because he has to sing it, you know. And each song is different. I mean, there is never any formula. You know, you kind of fall into a way of working that's comfortable for you and the person you're writing with, but there's never any right or wrong way to do it. It's just what's the end result going to be.
Right.
And he, with any of our songs, like he'll, you know, we bounce a lot of things off of each other lyrically. He's the lyricist, just like I'm the musical side of it. We're both very melodic, so we both have a lot of melodic sense that we bring to the table. But we do spend a lot of time, like he'll say a line and I'll say a line. We tend to write a lot, you know, a lot together. The bulk of it is going to be him. It's almost like I'm myself or Zach or Dave or whoever the other person in the room is almost just like a conduit to start spitting ideas at him, you know, and letting him kind of sort out what we're throwing at him, and he's, oh, that's kind of cool, that's kind of neat, you know. Well, Get Up, it was days and days of you know, we had recorded, the whole track was done, almost like you hear it on the record, because the only thing we did was we brought in Barry with the real drums, and you know, Zach did the lead guitar part that's on there, and other than that, all that other stuff was laid down in the demo, and so it was very much like it is now. But you know, 4 or 5 days had passed and he hadn't come in with anything, and this is also a result of, this is the first record that we've written sober. So, you know, no drugs, no alcohol for any of us. I mean, you know, I know Brent his well documented his struggles. Sure. But, you know, writing with that cloud sometimes helps creativity, right? But he and I talked about the fact that, you know, I used to go into writing sessions with, you know, after having taken some hydrocodone or something, because it made me just kind of took the edge off or whatever, and it was just ridiculous, you know, now that I think about it. But it's that fear of not succeeding. Right. You know? So he and I talked about, going into this, about how everything we need is inside of us, everything he needs for his lyrics are inside of him, everything I need for music and melody and that kind of thing is inside of me. And so we did. We wrote this thing sober. But in that, it took a longer time sometimes. Sometimes some of these songs the lyrics wouldn't happen overnight. You know, it was just a kind of a struggle or a re-edit or a rewrite or whatever. So anyway, 4 or 5 days had passed. He hadn't come back to the studio with anything for Get Up. And finally I was like, hey man, let's just move on to something else. You know, he's like, no, I've got something. I just haven't played it for you. You know, so he came in, he sang me the verse. The pre-chorus wasn't there yet. And then we had the Get Up part, because that's something that had happened when we were writing the song. That melody and that Get Up thing, it was kind of already there. I didn't know what it meant yet, but it kind of phonetically happened, you know, when we were writing the music. And then it was like, he told me what it was about. He'd written it about me and my depression, and these wonderful verses, you know, and this great sentiment. And so then it became time to sort of finish writing the song, you know, and it was a very unique place for me to be, even though it was just some pre-chorus lines and maybe 1 or 2 things in the chorus. He might have had the rest of the chorus. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but you know, and it was like we started bouncing things off of each other, and it was very odd for me, because all of a sudden, you know, I've written songs from a personal place before, and maybe are about me, but I've never like had someone bring me something and say, this is about you, we got to finish it. So then I'm like writing about myself in a weird kind of third person way. You know?
Was that confronting?
Yeah. Yeah. You say comforting or?
Both. Well, I said confronting, but I can't.
Okay. No. There was never any tension or anything about it.
Well, on the one hand, because the way I look at it is you are in a sense being shown your own behavior in a way.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the sentiment, like you say, is very lovely. Where you said, I don't want to see you go through this, and I've been through something similar, and I don't want to see you throw your dreams away. So let's go.
Right.
And
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, you know, that line about, you know, you know, I'd rather twist myself in knots than watch you give up on your dreams. That line had actually come out of a conversation that he and I had earlier, I mean, days earlier, about, you know, we talk a lot, man. I mean, we're really good friends, you know, and we vent to each other our problems and whatever we're going through. It's like being in a marriage, you know. And I had said that sometimes, you know, I feel like I'm twisting myself in knots trying to make music and make meaningful music, almost to the point to where I don't know if I want to do it anymore. You know, and it's depressive to me, you know. And look, I mean, I'm not, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me.
No,
you know,
no.
I've got a great job, a great profession, but it's just part of being an artist is that feeling of maybe you're not doing your best work. You know, you're given a finite amount of time when you're writing a record to write your record, you know, and whatever it is, the next one, I'm already thinking about the next one. You know, is it, how am I going to get the next one to stack up to this, you know? Right. And so you have a finite amount of time to do that. And if you don't feel like you're doing your best work, then it can get you down. So that's kind of what I was talking about. And so him to turn it on himself and say he'd rather twist himself in knots doing this with me than to watch me give up on it. You know, I thought that was such a great thing, a great sentiment. But you know, there's this whole thing about exposing ourselves. Actually, has always been there with the band. But I think back about a song like "Cut the Cord." When we were writing "Cut the Cord" for the previous record, you know, that chorus and the lyrics were, he was initially, when those lyrics were written, even when the demo was done, it was the second person. He was turning it on someone else and telling someone else about, you know, it was a kind of a different chorus than what's there now. But you're this, and you need to stop doing this, and you need to cut the cord, you know. And when it came time to produce that song, it was one of the songs I produced off of Threat of Survival, when I was like, I rewrote the whole chorus without him even hearing it. I rewrote all the music, and I had this melody idea, and he didn't even know it. And I was like, okay, so look, the song's not the same anymore. I know you haven't been here, but it's not the same. Barry was here, Zach was here. We re-recorded everything for the chorus, you know. And we need to talk about you, and you need to turn on yourself and own what we're talking about. You have to take ownership of something, of this subject. And so we did that, and it ended up being a great thing. So it kind of goes back to that, but we talked about that with this record. And so, I know this is a very long-winded explanation of it, but Get Up was that thing where he wrote this about me and what I go through. Okay, now, and I forget which songs we had written up to that point. I think Black Soul had been written, Monsters had been written. That was it. And Get Up was the next one. And even those two songs made it on the record, which is great. We always kind of knew Monsters was going to make it. We weren't sure about Black Soul. But then it was like, hey, we just made it okay to write about ourselves and what we've been going through. So now we need to write some things about you. And it really kind of opened up those doors to make it okay to write about addictions and the unsavory parts of our personalities. And you know, the things that we can't help and that we can't control, or the things we can control that we don't. And so there was never any conflict about it at all. It was unusual at first, but it became easier and easier, especially once we realized that we were kind of telling the story. And it was like, well, you know, like Dark Side, like that song. Like we sat on that music for a few days with no concept at all. And you know, it was like, hey, I walked in one day, I was like, I had this epiphany on the way to drive into the studio. I'm like, what if we write it about, you know, the person, or us, we always say the person who's sitting in the room in this record, all of a sudden they are, it's the first time they're inviting you inside of their head. You know, like, well, you really want to know how messed up it is in here? And that was good. I said, what if we, you know, welcome to the party, won't you please step inside, where the habits have teeth and the words carry knives. And he's like, I love that, you know, and I just kind of threw that out. That was going in my head, and that became Dark Side. It was like, you know, it became fun to kind of figure out what the next thing was that we needed to write to make the whole thing come together.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Very, very final thing. Did it bring the band closer together?
Yeah, Our band gets closer and closer every day, man. I mean, it sounds. I know people probably think it's corny. People who watch these interviews think it's contrived or something, but it's not. I often wonder, like, if bands that we tour with think that, like, we're putting on a show for them, you know? Because we walk around and we're always, like, happy and, like, speaking, and we go hang out with each other. We work out together. We eat dinner together. We eat lunch together. We genuinely love each other, man. We genuinely care for each other, and we want to see each other succeed in our personal lives. We want to see ourselves succeed in our professional life. Our families are family, you know, and it's not contrived. It's not put on. It's just how we are, and we have our differences and our arguments just like anybody else. But and we always say, you know, when there's just three of us together, we're always talking about the one that's not there, you know? And, like, I know what the conversations are when I'm in there. I just wonder what they're saying about me when I'm not around, you know? But it's like, that's just healthy, you know? It's just what happens. And you know, and no one gets uptight about it. And so our band's going to be, I don't know if the record brought our band closer together, but the experiences that the record's about, you know, are really what makes us close. We're just telling the story of that, you know. Yeah. And who knows, man? Right now, we're probably, you know, living the stories we're gonna be telling later, you know. So,
can't wait to see what you come up with then.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it.
All right, Eric.
Thank you so much, man.
Very much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.